Chris, welcome back. How does it feel to be sitting there as manager of Sheffield United once again?
Yeah, a bit surreal really. So obviously it's happened pretty quickly over the last sort of 24 hours. But delighted to be back. I'm proud to be back and to be given this opportunity to help more than anything.
There is a saying, isn't there? Never go back. Was there any trepidation at all about coming back?
No, I think I've talked about it before. Even in 2016, when I'm telling you, quite a lot of people, we'd had a successful season at Northampton, and obviously the Sheffield United job was one that was potentially going to be available, and people said you don't want to go back there and you ruin relationships and it's a sinking ship and everything like that. But once your hometown club comes calling, especially how everybody knows what this club means to me, this comes knocking and you get asked to come back. It's something that was never in doubt. So, you know what, Paul, as well, I don't really go along with that, you never go back. There's been enough managers that have gone back to clubs and had successful periods in the second part, and that's obviously the aim for myself going forward.
Because you're sitting there, it means someone else has sadly had to lose their job. I'm sure you would be the first to acknowledge the job that Paul Heckingbottom did here.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, came in a difficult situation. The team wasn't doing very well. Obviously from a position point of view, and to get his record and what he did in terms of his wins in the first season and obviously promotion is something that Paul, I should imagine, would be very proud of. But I think we all know the game as well. It's for me personally, first time I had my contract terminated at Middlesbrough in over 900 games. It's not nice, but it's part and parcel of what happens at football, and it all happens to the best of us, and I'm sure Paul will be okay, and everything moves forward.
Have you changed at all? Because you had the experience of Middlesbrough and Watford. Do you come back here a little bit different in how you manage?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I always think that every experience is a good one. Personally, even though it didn't end great at Middlesbrough, but I enjoyed my time there. I think it's always quite funny. People look at that and maybe define my sort of managerial career on 10 games, the start of 10 games of what I had at Middlesbrough. But I've got to say I really enjoyed working there. Had a great run in the league up until getting close to the playoffs in the final day of the season. 2 memorable cup matches, turning Man United over and turning Spurs over. So I think it's like sometimes like an end of a game, isn't it? If somebody equalises, it feels like a loss, and if you get that equaliser, it feels like a win. So I don't think my career will be determined on 10 games at Middlesbrough, but I think as I said, every experience, good or bad, is beneficial to you moving forward. And I think Prince Abdullah said it in a podcast that he did regarding where he sees me from my point of view. And failure doesn't destroy you. It just makes you a little bit more hardened and a little bit more streetwise and a little bit more determined. And I think one thing that people who have been around me over the past sort of 12 to 18 months will vouch for is that I'm enthusiastic and determined as ever to get back and start doing what I believe I'm good at, which is winning football games, even though you're trying to win football games in the hardest division in the world.
And how is the relationship with the owner? Because when you first left, there were a few rumours that it was acrimonious in the way that it all finished, but I think the Prince has even gone on record saying how much he admires what you did here. Have you come together? Have you had positive discussions? Where are you at?
That happened pretty quickly. There was a couple of jobs that were available after I left Sheffield United, and I got a text pretty quickly. If you need a reference, you need me to speak to them. So my relationship with Prince Abdullah from there, I think you look at it, and of course it was disappointing to leave, and I think reflection's a massive thing in football as well. As coaches, as players, you should be reflecting on a training session. As coaches and managers, you should be reflecting on the week and games, and have I picked the right team, and reflecting short, medium and long term. And I've had plenty enough time to know that in that period there's certain things that I would have definitely done different. There's certain things that I should imagine Prince Abdullah would have done different, and that's we've got to that situation where we've talked about that, and I think that obviously gives yourself a platform to move forward. I've congratulated him every time you know the club has had success, and you've got to say that the club has apart from obviously the start of this season, which has been a difficult one, you know, it's been a fairly decent period, you know, getting through to the playoff semi-final, obviously promotion. So the majority of the time that Prince Abdullah's been here, and obviously I've been part of that, there's been a lot of sunshine and a lot of success. So, you know, he wouldn't ask me back if he didn't think I was the right person to do the job, and obviously the club have put their trust in me to try and get things back moving in the right direction.
Do you see any similarities between the challenge you're facing now to the one that you first faced when you came in first time around? Yes, different leagues, but in terms of what's ahead of you, do you see any similarities there?
I think, Paul, there's obviously, you know, the league that we're playing in is an incredibly difficult division, but relatively speaking, you know, the club had 6 years in League One, and we couldn't get better than what we were doing. Mid-table in League One in front of 25,000 people, and culture of the club had gone. There was no connection between any part of the football club, from office staff to players to supporters to board members to staff. Everything was disconnected. Here it's not. It's not disconnected at all. You know, there's a lot of work has gone on from that period right the way through, and admirably carried on by Paul, because he understood the culture of the football club, what it was built on. I'd like to think that I played quite a decent part in setting that culture. But obviously, you know, a change is made because a change was needed in the eyes of the owner. So on that point of view, no, not really. The academy's set fair. You know, we're producing some really good young players, which we always have done, and that was important when I was here last time that we did that. So that was become into fruition of the players that we were producing, and the culture. Maybe you would see on a Saturday or a midweek at the moment, it's just slipped a tiny bit. There's a lot of things that you could say regarding that, you know, from a confidence point of view and a belief point of view, because when you know, like I said, when you've won a lot of games over 2 years, which the football club has done, you know, to start losing games is quite a difficult one to take. And you know, I certainly felt that in that second year in the Premier League, from an incredible year before where we finished 9th to all of a sudden what's happened here now. We're going toe to toe with a lot of clubs, and every game felt really tight, but you know, we weren't getting the results that we want. Even though I don't know whether this is controversial, you know, still for me there's a big asterisk next to that season because of you know, playing in the way that we had to, which we totally understand from the Premier League's point of view and the government point of view. But you know, for me, football was nothing without supporters, and obviously one of the biggest things is that connection that we need to put together between the supporters of Sheffield United, especially at Bramall Lane, and the team, and you know, we'll be reminding the players that how important that is.
So unfinished business then?
I won't say unfinished business, because you know, there was a decision that was made, and at the time I was comfortable with it. Of course, on reflection, as always, you always look back and go, you know, I've not always made the right decisions in terms of team selection, in signing players or whatever. You try and make more right decisions than wrong decisions. I look back and I go, you know, maybe it wasn't a decision that I really should have made, but I made it, and you have to live and die by that. So, but I'm back, and I hope myself and the coaching staff that I brought back in with me can help the football club. I think one of the biggest things that made me feel really proud and sort of gave me a great lift was, you know, the saying, and it's a little bit cheesy, you know, you gave our club back, and that was said to, you know, on numerous occasions because of what it was before. And I'm not saying that we're in that position now, but you know, the identity needs to be felt by everybody, and that'll be something that, you know, I'll be majoring on.
So what's the remit?
The remit's to win the next game, whatever it is. You know, I think the big thing is me. I concentrate on the team, and concentrate on the performance. You know, it is quite difficult because I've been brought up in an era of win at all costs, but I do think we've talked about it in there. Now that we look at the performance and we get that performance level up, that gives us an opportunity of win. We've got to be more competitive. of course. We've got to put a little bit more pressure on the opposition. There'll be a change of voice. There'll be a change of a tactical approach, because there is between every manager that works. And that's the biggest thing for me, is the approach to the game. That we, you know, of course, we're in the Premier League. We totally understand the challenges ahead, and none more than playing on a Wednesday night against Liverpool. But you know, this is it. And I've said, you know, do we treat this as an FA Cup third round tie? And we've got Liverpool at home, and let's have a go at it. So you know, of course, we'll be pushed back, but see a little bit more fight and determination. The boys are suffering at the moment. You can understand that because of the run that they've been on and the unforgivingness of the Premier League. So, you know, for my job, it's to lift those players, give them a little bit more confidence into themselves, and try and you know, find a way that makes us a little bit more competitive.
In terms of who you're bringing with you on your coaching team, who's that going to be?
Yeah, a few of the old band have come back with me. So Alan's come back in with Matt Prestridge as well. So worked very closely with them over a number of years as well. So they both bring, you know, fantastic qualities to the football club that, you know, a lot of people know about. Keith Andrews is coming in with me. Somebody I've known for quite a while. Been working with the Republic of Ireland national team as well. An excellent coach, and will give us some fresh ideas as well. I thought that was important, that we freshen that department up as well. And obviously I know quite a lot of the boys that are still here as well. The likes of Paul Mitchell, the people in the medical department, the masseurs, Matt Jute, that I've known for a long time, and Jack's obviously staying as well, Jack Lester. So you know, working with those guys, and we've got to do our best to support the players.
And in terms of the squad, obviously you know a lot of them, you signed a lot of them. Is it a clean slate for everybody?
Yeah, I don't think it was ever a slate where players were discarded or whatever. You know, it was all, I've always been one of, you know, the strength of the group, and it held us in good shape going right the way through. You know, I always say, and I don't want this to be arcing back on what happened, but you know, the promotion season out of the Championship to the Premier League, you know, for me, the likes of Martin Craney, Gary Medine, you know, those type of boys that had to come in and play 5 or 10 or 15 games were the ones that really got us over the line. So it's going to be the strength of the group, the unity of the group, all pulling together. Of course, you've got to go and pick a team, and so there's going to be boys disappointed, but as I keep saying, it's not an individual sport. This is a group team sport, and we need to be all on the same page and pulling together. So the remit is not looking any further than the next game, and we have to be our absolute max. We have to give everything that we've got, leave it all out on the pitch, all those sort of things, you know, quotes that people like to say, but they're true, and compete and see where it goes. But show a little bit more ambition in our play, be a little bit more positive, and you know, who knows where one win gets you. You know, everybody talks about the league. I'm really not bothered about the end bit. I want to make sure that I give everything, and we all give everything as a staff, as players, as supporters, into that next challenge, which is obviously an incredible one. Liverpool at home in the Premier League. To make it to the Premier League, whether you're a coach, a manager, a physio, or a player, you have to do a lot of things right, and you have to work extremely hard, and you have to give a lot of sacrifices up, make a lot of sacrifices. But we're in it now. It was funny because, you know, speaking to Paul Mitchell, who I've got a load of respect for, you know, and he talks about, well, if we didn't really want to be here, with 5 games to go last year, we should have just thrown the towel in and stayed in the Championship. This is where everybody wants to be. It's tough, we understand that, and it's not going our way at the moment, but everybody works towards playing in the best league in the world. We're in the best league in the world, and we've got to try and make the most of it.
Can I assume that the overlapping centre-backs is consigned to the past, or at least for now? Because that was a surprise when you first introduced it. Answer that question. Do you have any other surprises up your sleeve?
No, it was a way of breaking down teams, because teams came and sat in, and you know, when you're dominating the ball as we did, we needed to find a way to break teams down. But I do find it a little bit as well annoying that you know, you talk about systems and tactics. That worked great for us. It worked great in the early part of our success. It changed the touch. It got tweaked into the Premier League.
Yeah.
And, you know, even in the second season, from a tactical point of view, we were in every game. I don't think there was a game where we weren't in. Did we get dominated by teams? Yeah, but, you know, I think then you're talking about big moments from special players that make the difference. And to be fair, on reflection, we didn't have enough of those big moments that made those difference. And I still tell you 100%, I believe, and on my heart, that we wouldn't have finished bottom in that league that season if the crowd was back in at Bramall Lane. And everybody I speak to in the game talks about how intimidating it is, how tough it is. We've got to make that a tough place to come and get a result. The majority of our results are going to be home results, of course, but it's such a difficult place. Would we have finished ninth? No, but I'm sure we would have had a great chance of getting out of the division. So from a tactical point of view, I've managed and coached every formation. You know, 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1. You know, in-house we've changed, as people know here. You know, there's games where we've changed to see a game out. There's change where we have to change to go and chase a game. So I think every manager who works at this level has not just got one formation that he sticks to. We have to be pretty good at every formation and coach every formation. So we'll have a look at the players. Obviously there's a few out at the moment, there's a few injured at the moment that we would obviously love to be available. There's a suspension, as we all know, from Saturday that don't make it ideal. But there's certain non-negotiables, like we talked about, and non-negotiables is that from the work ethic, that isn't a question that I'll be asking them to run about. They have to run about and they have to compete. And there's some good players here. You know, it was talked about in the summer about the window and the players that we brought in. And my job to maximise those players and then put him in a system that yes, worries about Liverpool and respects Liverpool and understands the threat that Liverpool as a football club will have and come when they come on a Wednesday night. But we can't just sit there and just stick our chin out for 95 minutes and just wait to get knocked out. We've got to throw a few punches and swing a few times to give them a problem as well. So, you know, tactically we'll see where we are, and obviously we've not got a lot of time to work with it, but we'll work to our best. But certainly the first thing's got to come first, which is obviously those non-negotiables.
How do you think you're going to feel when you come up those steps at Bramall Lane and turn to the right as opposed to turning to the left?
Yeah, I've got to say I didn't enjoy the last time I was here. So yeah, that was a strange situation. But listen, it's not about me. It's not about Alan. It's not about the people that I'm bringing in. It's about the crowd, the players setting the crowd alight and giving them something to shout about. I think we all know, even this season where it's been double difficult, you know, there's been periods and times where the players have been on the front foot and they've caused problems to the opposition team. And the support, which I've told, I will tell new players, remind the existing players, they're right behind you if you leave everything out there and you give everything to the badge and the shirt. So that doesn't change. But you know, it's 30,000 people under the lights at Bramall Lane on a Wednesday night in the Premier League. You know,
get
so
much better than that.
If that can't motivate players to run around, you know, players need to do something different, because, like I said, they work hard to get into this situation. They work hard to get into this position, to play for a wonderful football club that's backed incredibly by the supporters. They've got to do their bit, and I'm sure that the supporters will pile in with their support off the back of that. It's
a belting game to start. I don't know whether it's a good game or not. How do you see this? Because obviously they are absolutely flying, aren't they?
Yeah, well, of course they are, but you know, you look at the fixture list and every game excites you, of course, and of course there is always a little bit of spice when you and Jurgen are together. Nah, that's got nothing. No, that's got nothing to do with it. I'm just glad I'm in the arena and being able to pit our wits against him. You know, he's a fantastic manager and they're an incredible team. So, of course, the challenge don't come any bigger. But you know, first and foremost, we need to put a performance out there that the supporters are proud of, and we can get that connection back, because, you know, things like what has happened over the last 2 weeks is not Sheffield United for one reason or the other, and everybody will have their own answer for it. But you know, this football club at its best is when it's connected, and the players have got to do their bit. And like I said, I'm sure that the supporters will connect to that regardless who we're playing.
Good luck.
Thank you
Good
very
to
much.
see you back.
Cheers, thanks Paul.